being a marketer in Australia is a really undervalued skill and profession. I'm going to talk today about the realities of what it's like to be a senior marketing professional in Australia. So in terms of my background, I have over a decade of experience in marketing and communications. I've had my own business. I've had an agency. I've also worked client side. So I've worked all the way from small business, startup type businesses to large multinationals. And these are some of the things that I've observed during my time in my career that seem to be happening. So the first thing is that if you become a marketer, expect low pay. It's the only profession where they expect you to create a brand and do campaigns that require a great deal of thought that currently AI cannot do, and then deliver millions of dollars in revenue to a business. And because this can't be fully measured, you're paid less. I have consistently remained the lowest paid person on a leadership team in most of the places that I've worked in. And it seems to be because of the title marketing manager, because if you look at most industry benchmarks of senior roles, the marketing role is one where basically it is paid lower than, for example, a product manager or a people and culture manager. So it's quite a frustrating situation because you come into these meetings as a senior professional and sometimes the other people in the room are earning double your salary and you're expected to bring in millions of dollars into the business. Another thing that I've observed about marketing is the fact that it goes through phases where there's cost cutting and marketing is the first department to often go. I don't understand how that works because marketing is the one that's actually building the pipeline to bring revenue into the business. If you cut off that pipeline, sure, you can use sales and the current marketing campaigns for a certain amount of months and even potentially years if the brand isn't great, but without having the marketing resource in the business, how can you expect to survive long term? Marketers are also often, placed as graphic designers or writers, and our strategic skill set is not really seen. I've worked in places where, they will just send me a whole lot of requests like from within the organization to make creative material. I've worked in other places where I've been expected to write content and produce content, and that seems to be the purpose of marketing. It's often also the department that comes under scrutiny when something goes wrong because sales attacks it from one angle of, not bringing in the pipeline. And the other side of this is that customer service and that side of a business can basically say that we're hurting the customer, when in reality, marketing is always for the customer. It's politically a profession that is in a difficult position. We also don't have a peak body in Australia where our rights are protected, where our value is really shown. We're terrible. We're like the plumber that can't do the plumbing in their house. Our institute is not one that advocates for marketing at a political level, and that hinders the profession in terms of pay and in terms of value. When you look at some of the biggest brands in the world, their success has been due to marketing. And there's no denying, that marketing works. In Australia, though, there's not that many brands that have been marketing led. We're great at inventing products. We're great at sales, But when it comes to actually long-term sustained value, that's something that we're still learning, and I've seen it time and time again. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the type of people that work in marketing. Highly relational people in a lot of ways, because there's always an element of creativity in marketing. That's often the reason that people go into the profession. It's definitely why I got into marketing. I was an accountant before, and I didn't want that life. Sometimes I think to myself, should I have stayed in that? Because the amount of things that I've had to go through since that time when I left accounting has been significant, and a lot of it has had to have with speaking to people who basically don't really understand what a marketer does. Marketing is so relational as well. You have to get into a part of your brain that most people in the company don't have to. It's relational. You have to tap into the behaviors, the hearts and minds of your customer. Even customer service doesn't really have to do this, because often with customer service, it's about process and systems and basically figuring out, how to keep the customer happy right in that particular moment. And that creates a lot of friction when you're in a mindset where you're relational and the rest of the business is in a mindset that's transactional. As a marketer, I do find it hard to switch off from my actual job when I'm outside, because the way that I build campaigns and the way that I do marketing is I look for meaning in various things. I look for meaning, and it can come from something completely random as well. And sometimes that extends outside of the workplace. I really think, a lot of people don't understand what marketing is in Australia. And I get it, from the perspective of people maybe thinking certain things about it and not realizing its true value, because it's greater than the sum of its parts. To make it work, it takes time. And recently there's also been this whole AI thing, AI doing content, AI writing marketing plans. They can't. I've tried AI on multiple platforms. I've taught AI at a postgraduate level for a number of years now, in terms of how to prompt and how to use different AIs and use it to, analyze data and trends. And I'm yet to find an AI that has that relational, deep level of thinking that marketers have.